D2 sells out on WWE.
Who you calling a sellout? Sellout? And D2 Word Live here with D2 Word Live here with Rip Sellout Tides.
No. He's a sellout.
No. You're the dang sellout. And besides, just because freaking doing this TNA event was my idea doesn't mean I sold out and decided to not do WWE events.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
You're something else. You know that? It's like,
I ruined your intro yet again with my own.
Oh, God, that creepy laugh. Be gone, devil. Be gone, devil.
Never.
And you'll see why I freaking said that a little later on. But today we are reviewing our personal first ever TNA pay-per-view review, and that was and reviewing Bound for Glory 2010.
Which I fucking called.
Yes. Which took place on October 10th, 2010, otherwise known as 10-10-10. Only, that date only happens once in a century.
Yes.
Yep, and then it took place in Daytona Beach, Florida, at the Ocean Center.
Daytona is Daytona, not Daytona.
Whatever. I butcher the hell out of shit. And I'm pretty sure if anyone's from Daytona Beach, Florida, that is watching this, I'm pretty sure they'll haggle me in the comments, maybe. All right?
Brother.
And the attendance for this was, 3,500. It was a small event. TNA wasn't known for, big crowds like WWE was.
Brother.
What?
I said, brother.
Brother, fuck, brother. And the commentators for this event was Mike Tenay and Taz, and the ring announcer was Jeremy Borash. It feels weird talking about the commentators for this event and not saying your boy Michael Cole because we're not reviewing a WWE show.
Jeremy Borash was in WWF at one point, then WCW, and then went to TNA.
Yep.
So, yeah, he's been around the block.
Yeah, that was in the opening.
Also, your favorite referee is in TNA. Mike fucking, Earl Hebner.
Yeah, Earl Hebner. Why would you call him my favorite referee? It's not like he screwed anybody before or anything. No, I can't think of one single incident. Can you?
I can think of several.
Yeah, but I can't think of any, even though I think one sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't know. You may want to friggin' watch the Survivor Series 97 review to get that one in depth.
The screw job.
Yes.
That's why I said your favorite referee.
Oh, boy. Oh, Lord. You're too much. But anyway, going back on track, we see the opening hype package for this event, and then afterwards we get to our opening contest for this event, which was for the TNA World Tag Team Championships, which saw the Motor City Machine Guns defeating against Generation Me. Of course, the Motor City Machine Guns these days are a awesome tag team on WWE SmackDown. Well, Generation Me are better known as the Young Bucks in AEW right now.
Yes. Who run AEW?
Yeah. And, calling this match a banger is an understatement because these two teams were pulling off freaking tag team moves we see today back in 2010.
Yes.
With the fast-paced back-and-forth tag team actions, no team had the advantage for very long.
Well, it was also their first title defense because they had won the tag team titles on the TNA show prior to this event.
Yeah. And of course, after some back and forth high action, to start with, the Guns are in control for most of the matchup. And freaking both Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin both hit freaking suicide dives to Generation Me or the Young Bucks, whatever you want to call them, on the outside of the ring. Right?
We could just call them basically the Young Bucks because they literally were going by their names. Max Buck and whatever the
and Jeremy Buck back then.
Yes.
Of course, they go by Nick and Matt Jackson now.
Generation Me right after they had gotten released from WWE.
Yeah, I mean, this match was great from the get-go. A lot of quick and a lot of freaking near falls throughout this matchup too. Like hence what you would see today in tag team wrestling, right?
Yeah.
And of course, near the end, freaking Generation Me or the Young Bucks freaking set up a double team move that involved Jeremy rolling up Shelley and Max on the top rope, but Sabin ran off. It was like Sabin ran and sprung off Jeremy's back and back onto the top rope and hit a German suplex to Max. Right? Like in quick succession. Yeah. Me describing it, you're just going to have to watch it. Me describing it was longer than the move it took itself.
The Motor City Machine Guns next after weeks and weeks of targeting their necks and them having neck surgery.
Yeah. But in the end, the Guns freaking hit their signature Skull and Bones finisher, and freaking Shelley got the pinfall to retain the championships. The short description of this match does not do it justice. If you want to see great opening matches,
it was a fucking fast pace right off the bat.
I mean, if you want to see great opening matches to a pay-per-view, this would be it. Because this match actually got everyone freaking hyped up for the show.
Yes.
Right. So, your thoughts on this opening tag team match from start to finish?
It was very good. It was mostly dominated by the Motor City Machine Guns, like usual for them. Fast paced, not stopping, just kept hitting hard and flying high.
And from what I've seen, especially near the end, the match could have gone either way, to be honest. I mean,
yeah.
And the fans were actually applauding both teams when it was over with. All right.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, this is a great way to start the show. And I thought it was one of the best matches of this show. Out of many best matches of this show, in my opinion, this was one of them. And I thought it was a great way to open up this show. Right? And I don't say that too often about the opening match on the card. So there you go. Right?
No, this is... The Motor City Machine Guns were known for high-paced, hard-hitting, fast action, just like they are today in WWE.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know this event was 15 years ago, and 15 years later, the Motor City Machine Guns are still going strong today.
Yes.
In WWE at this point. Pretty much redefining the tag team scene on SmackDown right now. Right?
Yes.
So from there on in, we go to the second match of the night after a little backstage interview with Tara and Madison Rayne backstage.
With Christy Hemme.
With Christy Hemme, and yeah, TNA had balls to say shit with their interviews, with the way they were talking backstage.
They still do that today.
Yes. This is something different out of the norm, especially with Mazarine calling freaking Christy Hemme a
slut.
A slut and a bitch and all that shit too backstage.
Yeah.
And of course that brings it, and they did the whole video package hyping this matchup, and Mickie James being announced as a special guest referee, and of course the next match I'm talking about is for the TNA Women's Knockout Championship. I just call it the TNA Women's Championship. It's the same thing, right?
Well, it was still that was when Mickey James first burst onto the scene in TNA was 2010.
Actually,
And they literally just threw her in as the referee.
yeah, and this match was the TNA Women's Champion, Angelina Love, defending against Tara, the former Victoria, Velvet Sky, and Madison Rain.
Tara is her actual name, so.
Well, I just said the former Victoria because that's what she went by in WWE in the years prior to this TNA event.
Yes.
And of course, Mickey James was a special guest referee. And I hate to correct you on this, but I've been on a freaking TNA watching binge. This wasn't the first time Mickey James was in TNA. This was the second time.
I'm saying at that point was for fucking years. It was the first time in a while.
I mean, yes, this was like her first, like one of her first appearances in TNA as under her Mickey James name. But it wouldn't be her first like appearance overall because he did wrestle under her real name a couple times back when the company first got started in 2002.
Yeah, I'm saying she was then.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So yeah, Mickey James been around for a long time.
Overall, I said at this point.
Yeah, so Mickey James been around in the wrestling business for a long ass time at this point.
Yes.
And still is today. Right.
Yes.
So yeah, and this was kind of interesting. This was a 4-way, and you know what's funny? It's like freaking. I think it was Madison Rain and Tara both came out at the same time, and Velvet Sky and Angelina Love both came out at the same time during their entrances. How envious were you, dear, of the middle rope during the Beautiful People's entrance?
Oh, everyone was envious of it. It don't matter.
I bet you were looking at that and be like, why can't I be that middle rope right now?
You were too, bitch.
But anyway,
That's how I just fucking said, let the pigeons loose.
God damn it, I knew you were going to say that. Because that was Taz's line every time they did their entrance.
Yes.
But anyway, even though it was a 4-way matchup, like
the fucking Beautiful People, Angelina Love and
Velvet Sky.
Velvet Sky, I almost forgot her name for a second. Are the fucking two hottest chicks that had the fucking most hottest goddamn entrance ever.
But anyway, even though this was
you have to even admit that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who the fuck would actually do that now?
I don't
Besides those two.
Well, when it comes to that type of entrance, it kind of... Okay, I'm being honest here. Before we even dive into this match, talking about their entrance, when I seen their entrance, it kind of reminded me of what the entrance that Stacy Keibler used to do, but amplified to 100.
Yes.
If I'm being honest, right?
And all you hear is Taz say, let the pigeons loose!
Yep. But anyway, back to talking about the match at hand. Even though this was a Fatal 4-Way match, it was kind of interesting because unlike a traditional Fatal 4-Way match when all competitors are in the ring at the same time, this was actually unique as in it was tag team rules. With 2 in the ring and 2 on the apron. And they have to tag in and out, which I found kind of rather interesting because we're used to seeing all 4 compete at the same time in these type of 4-way matches. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And of course, at one time, both members of the Beautiful People got tagged in at the same time, and both of them had to fight each other.
Well, because freaking Madison Rain's like, oh, they're not going to fight. Those two have been rivals forever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it don't matter if they were friends or not. They would fight each other for that title multiple times.
Yeah, after some good exchanges between all four, it kind of broke down near the end. Tara went for the Widow's Peak on Sky, but who countered pushing Tara into Rain, who fell off the apron onto Angelina Love on the outside, right?
Yeah, and which got Tara the pinfall for with her grabbing the tights of Velvet Sky.
Well, Velvet Sky went for the most devastating move in all sports entertainment, this Rise roll-up, which, yes, Tara ended up reversing into one of her own, grabbing the tights to become the new TNA Women's Champion. Right.
And this is after speculation saying that she wouldn't turn on Madison Rain.
Yeah, and then after the match, Rain continued to argue with Tara, and then Mickey tried to resolve the issue, which resulted in Rain pushing her away, and then Mickey freaking retaliated by grabbing her. And Rain
gave her a fucking clothesline from hell.
Rain went to strike, but Mickey blocked it and knocked her out. Clothesline, whatever. Knocked her out before smiling and upset at Tara before leaving the ring on her own accord to the hardcore country theme.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, but when I have to say this right now at the start of the match, when I know Mickie James was a referee, she was holding that championship up, and I'm just like, yep, that title actually looks good in Mickie James' hands. And she would actually be a multiple-time TNA Women's Champion throughout her career. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I know we didn't go all into detail with this one, but your thoughts on this unique four-way with the story that it told?
It was good. It told the story about when Tara left and then came back as the mysterious biker partner and then was unmasked as Tara.
I know. I mean, is it bad that I forgot that Victoria or Tara used to freaking come out to the ring on a motorcycle? And I was watching TNA at this time, and I forgot about that over the years. Right?
Is it funny that they called Tara a dyke on a bike?
What the fuck?
Yes, Velvet Sky and Angelina Love literally called Tara a dyke on a bike.
I must have not caught that during their little freaking during the freaking promo package. Right?
Yes, literally, they said it right before they came out too. They're like, "Oh, Madison Rain thinks she's gonna have her partner, the dyke on the bike, help her out and shit."
Yep. But anyway, before we get into what I believe was the funniest match of the night, we gotta talk about a little backstage segment because Eric Young was being freaking interviewed backstage. Talking about
Ink and Orlando Jordan and Eric Young fucking tag team match.
Yeah, let's talk about a little backstage first. Freaking Eric Young was being interviewed backstage, and the things about this little interview backstage that stuck in my mind was the part where Eric Young was like, "Yeah, well, who cares if Orlando Jordan is bipolar?" And I'm like, "What the hell?" Right? And then he was talking about like the good book or the TNA rule book, and then all of a sudden, Orlando Jordan comes up to him wearing an all-white outfit with a white freaking like mask or veil on his head, and he goes, "Oh, God damn it, Devil! Stay back, Devil!" Hence why I said what I said at the start of this review. And for some reason, that got me busting up laughing. Right?
Well, Eric Young was a goofball back then.
Oh, and if you think that's something, just wait till we talk about this match here. Like, what the hell was that? So, yeah, both made their entrances. Both teams made their entrances here, and it was a rematch from, I believe, Impact, like, the week prior to this event, right?
Yes.
And of course, during their entrances, Eric Young brought the so-called TNA rule book to the ring. All right. And then let's just talk about shenanigans played on. Orlando Jordan was a legal participant for his team, and then for some reason, Eric Young was like, you know what? Got in the referee's face. You get on the apron. I'm going to be the referee for this match. I'm like, huh? Right? Including even counting a freaking 2 count for one of his opponents. And the referee got back in and was like, what the hell? You get back on the apron. I'm like, what the hell? I'm just like, okay, that's bizarre. What the, right? And then there was another one where I think Eric Young was going for a move against one of the, I think it was either Shannon Moore or his partner. Not totally sure, but Eric Young ended up being crossed on the ropes after he was on the top rope for something. And then Orlando Jordan also gets crotched on the ropes. And then freaking both of them got the freaking goddamn bouncing up and down on the freaking rope spot.
Well, you also forgot this thing because Orlando Jordan fucking went up right up against Eric Young's butt.
Yeah, it looked like they were doing a little something on that top rope, if you know what I mean. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, and then near the end of the match, freaking Eric Young, for some reason, the genius that he is, decided to go into Ink's corner to get a freaking hot tag from, I believe it was Shannon Moore. Yeah, I got a hot tag from Shannon Moore, and then he went in the ring and proceeded to beat the crap out of Orlando Jordan, his own tag team partner. And I'm like, what? I just looked at him like, what in the ass backwards kind of match am I seeing? Right? And of course, in the end, though, freaking Inc. eventually was able to hit their finisher, the Samoan drop Morgasm combination finisher. That's technically what it's called. Don't at me for that one. And and then I think it was Shannon Moore who got the pin on freaking Jordan, and Young celebrated with Inc. like he won the match.
Yeah.
And of course, Jordan was like, yeah, screw you. I'm kind of ticked off. Like, what the hell was that? What kind of shit did we just see here? What the hell did I just fucking talk about? And all my years watching wrestling and freaking doing these reviews, I never once thought I would actually say anything like that about a tag match. But anyway, your thoughts on this tag match? Because it sounded like you had a good time watching it.
Yeah.
To me, it was the comedy funny spot of the spot. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say it was the greatest match, but it was the funniest match of the night. Right.
Well, Eric Young was a goofball back then, so.
Yep. And I'm just like, wow, okay, that's pretty funny. It made me laugh, so I gave it points for that. Right.
Well, it was also strange to see Eric Young and the oddball Orlando Jordan freaking tagging together.
I know. It's weird. This is the second Orlando Jordan match that we reviewed here. His first one being against Heidenreich, and that match also was crap. But I say the one that he had, the tag match he had here at TNA, was better. Right? Just pointing that out. Right?
Oh, he had some more weird-ass matches, I can tell you that.
Yep.
At one point, he dressed up in caution tape.
Is that where Naomi got her inspiration for her current gimmick now?
Probably.
You're like, maybe? Right?
I don't know, but he had some weird matches, I can tell you that.
Yes. Anyway,
don't get me wrong, that dude could fucking wrestle.
Yeah.
It's just, he has some weird ass gimmicks when he was wrestling.
Like, don't get me wrong, yeah, I mean, Orlando Jordan is a legit freaking, like, wrestler. I mean, he could wrestle a freaking, like, great match if he wanted to. Don't let his freaking outlandish gimmicks fool you from TNA.
No, I know. I'm just saying that he had some weird ass gimmicks. I'm not looking down on his wrestling. That's why I said, don't get me wrong. He could wrestle.
Yes.
He just had some weird ass gimmicks.
Yep.
Which were fucking hilarious.
Yep. So now the laugh fest's over, go on to the next match, which was for the TNA X Division Championship, which saw Jay Lethal defend the X Division Championship against Douglas Williams.
Yes.
So yeah, both men made their entrances, and they actually had a good back and forth contest match here, right? And of course,
Yep.
Williams dominated for the most part with his technical freaking prowess, kind of like what Gunther does today, right? I really hate to bring that name up, but you know it's true, right?
Yeah.
But you know, Jay Lethal constantly attempted to turn the tides, but Williams always freaking got the upper hand, pretty much, you know, dominating most of the matchup here, right?
Well, that's because Douglas Williams was more of a mat-based brawler than high flyer. He never really did high flying.
But at one point,
The one time he did was in this match, and it failed him miserably.
Yeah, I mean, Williams actually did hit the Chaos Theory on Lethal at one point out of the corner, but got a 2 count. But in the end, Williams attempted the Hurricane Run off the top rope. That's a big mistake, which Lethal reversed into a sunset flip roll up to win the match and retain the championship.
Yes, he didn't even have to use his lethal. He didn't even have to use his fucking lethal injection.
Lethal injection finisher, yep.
Yes.
And of course, after the match, Lethal celebrated and exited through the crowd, you know, Jey Uso style today. But then, from out of nowhere in the crowd, he got attacked by Robbie and Cookie. Remember those two? The Jersey Shore wannabe characters?
No, they were both from the Jersey Shore. They were, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just point
Don't
out.
even remind me of that shit.
Yeah, because back then, Jersey Shore was a popular TV show, though I am proud to say I've never seen a single episode of it.
Neither have I.
And then Robbie attacked Jay Lethal back into the ring and then executed the jumping cutter on him. And then Robbie with the X Division. Robbie then freaking held up the X Division Championship. And pretty much stated that Lethal was an embarrassment to New Jersey. And made his intentions clear that he was going to win that title.
New Jersey was Robbie E.
Yeah, pretty much this was done to spark a rivalry between Robbie and Jay Lethal here for the X Division title. So yeah, so what do you think? So the match between Jay Lethal and Douglas Williams, I thought it was okay. It could have been a little bit better in the post-match antics. After the match kind of was okay for what it was, right?
It was a decent match.
Yeah, it was a decent match. Was it the best match on this card? No, it felt kind of average, but you know, it is what it is. They accomplished what they needed to, and you know, after the match, Jay Lethal got another feud going on immediately at that point.
Yeah.
And I never want to talk about Jersey Shore ever again. It's bad enough we reviewed WrestleMania 27 a long time ago when they had an actual member of Jersey Shore appear in a match.
Yeah, Cookie.
Yeah. I don't even give a crap who it was. I'm not even going to try to correct you. I really don't care. right?
It was Snooki.
Yeah,
Is what it was. It was Snooki.
Yeah. It was just, man, that fucking show, WrestleMania 27, that happened literally what was it, 5 or 6 months after this TNA show? That show sucked. And you get me on a goddamn rant about a freaking event we reviewed a hell of long ago.
That's your opinion, buddy.
Anyway, let's talk about a match that didn't really suck or was actually great, and that's the next match on this particular card, which was the Monsters Ball match between the Monster Abyss and Rob Van Dam.
And the stipulation was that if Abyss lost, he would leave TNA.
Yeah, we say leave rather loosely because, let's face it, that didn't happen.
Nope.
And the backstory of this one is Rob Van Dam won the TNA Championship, I believe, at Slammiversary 2010. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not totally sure, but Van Dam never lost the title because after a match on freaking Impact that Van Dam had backstage, he got attacked by Abyss, who promptly left him in a pool of his own blood thanks to Janice. The freaking god, for those who don't know who Janice,
2x4.
Those who don't know who Janice is, it's a 2x4 with nails sticking out of it.
Right? It's a spiked 2x4.
Yes. And because of Van Dam's injuries from that attack, the TNA Championship was vacated, hence why the main event for this particular show was for the vacant TNA Championship, which we'll get to when we get to it, right? And pretty much Van Dam returned on this night, challenging Abyss to a Monsters Ball encounter, and Dixie Carter wanted Abyss fired if he were to lose this match. And they said on commentary, either way, this would be Abyss's last friggin' appearance, which, let's face it, we all know that wasn't going to be the case anyway, regardless of the result. Right? And and here's the thing with this one. Before the match in promos that Abyss was cutting, he kept saying that day will arrive on the date upon us. 10, 10, 10. And that's why the date for this event stuck. Right? That everyone remembers this event from. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why all I had to say was 10, 10, 10. You know exactly which event I was talking about. Right?
Yes.
And that he said the destruction of Van Dam and they would continue to take over. Right?
Yep.
And of course, Van Dam didn't even wait to get introduced. When he made his entrance, he came out just attacking freaking Abyss from pillar to post with kicks and other weapons that he had. Right? And of course, Abyss started going back on offense, and it was like back and forth for the first part of it, and then Van Dam was freaking trying to do a Van Daminator at one point, which Abyss reversed by throwing a chair in Van Dam's face, right?
Yep.
Which promptly left Van Dam landing on a freaking barbed wire board that was propped up there between the ring apron and the guardrail. Oh yeah, and before that, freaking Abyss ate the barbed wire as well and got hit with a Rolling Thunder onto the barbed wire from Van Dam previous to that spot, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then Van Dam was able to hit a Van Daminator with a quarter missile drop kick into the barbed wire board that hit Abyss. Also, that's what I was talking about. So Abyss got ate twice, right? And then then they had the whole throwing the chair at Van Dam, which resulted in going into the barbed wire. And then freaking with Van Dam down and out, near the end of the match, Abyss laid his eyes on Janice, who he sat out on the announce table at ringside, right? Looking to inflict more damage on Van Dam with it, which we all know that would have ended the match. But Abyss wasn't able to hit Van Dam with friggin' Janice, because Van Dam reversed reversed Abyss, causing Abyss to drop the weapon. And right when Abyss was down, Van Dam looked like he was going to go for going for the frog splash out of the corner. But before he can even get up to the top rope, he thought about it. He goes, "You know what? Screw it." So Van Dam picked up Janice, and he probably nailed freaking Abyss in the stomach with it.
Yes.
Which made me cringe. I'm like, oh shit, right? And following that, that's when Van Dam went up to the top rope and hit the 5-star frog splash on Abyss to get the win. And after the match, with blood trickling out of his mouth, freaking Abyss freaking signaled to the camera and then brought up the 10-10-10 date and said they are ready because they were coming. I'm like, and at the time, everyone was like, who are they? Right?
He said they are here.
Or they are here. Or they were coming, right? And I'm just like, who are... And everybody at the time, including me, because I was actually watching this live on pay-per-view back when you had to pay $60 for it. Even then, I was thinking to myself, who are they? Right? You know, that was a big question on everybody's mind for this event. Right? So yeah, your thoughts on this Monsters Ball match with Abyss and Van Dam?
It was good.
Yeah, when it comes to shock factor, it was the most shocking, violent match of the night, but I think there's another match that could rival it that we're going to be talking about here in a bit, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I thought it was a great match from start to finish. So yeah, I got a really good high rating from me. Right. But you know what match didn't get a really good high rating from me? The next match we're about to talk about that followed the Monsters Ball, which was the 2-on-3 handicap match that saw the team of the band, which is what they were calling themselves officially, which was D'Angelo De Niro, Kevin Nash, and Sting. And they were taking on the team of Jeff Jarrett and Samoa Joe. Ugh. Yeah, I really wasn't into this one at all, but we'll talk about it. It's like Joe and De Niro. And for those of you who don't know who D'Angelo De Niro is, he was Elijah Burke in WWE. Right. Yeah, and then at the beginning, freaking Joe and De Niro began the matchup, sharing in with striking offense back and forth. But, you know, De Niro at one point hit a shoulder block, which Joe responded with a belly-to-belly suplex, knocking him down. Sting got the tag in. And, you know, for most of this match at that point, Joe was finding himself on the defensive while trying to make a comeback, right? And here's the part it is. Joe was finally going to make the freaking hot tag to Jeff Jarrett, but Jeff Jarrett, the sneaky weasel snake that he is, jumped off the ring apron and been like, you know what, screw you, and turned his back on Joe. That's not surprising knowing Jeff Jarrett's character at all, right?
Well, he did that in fucking WWF, WCW, and then when WWE when he was there.
So yeah, because that inevitably left Joe in a 3-on-1 situation. I'm like, really? But in the end, despite the effort, after Nash won, Nash came in, nailed a jackknife on an exhausted Joe, and won the match, following a 3 count.
Well, it was impressive that he could even lift fucking Samoa Joe.
Yeah. Your thoughts on this one?
It was a decent match. It was technically supposed to be 2-on-2, and then the Pope, fucking D'Angelo De Niro, fucking decided to say, "Oh, I see what you guys are doing. 3-on-2."
Yeah, well, Yeah, well, Samoa Joe then resumed his feud, started his feud against Jeff Jarrett after this, if I believe correctly. Jeff Jarrett was doing this because, well, we'll talk about that later on in the show, the review, right? And of course,
Let's just say he joined a team of select individuals.
yes. And of course, D'Angelo De Niro went on to have another new rivalry following this event. But as for Kevin Nash and Sting, well, this would be their last TNA freaking appearance because both of their contracts were coming up. Kevin Nash, following this event, decided not to renew his TNA contract. Instead, Kevin Nash would freaking sign a Legends deal with WWE and would actually make a return at the 2011 Royal Rumble as the Diesel character for a surprise appearance 4 months after this. And Sting, on the other hand, he was off. We all know the story. He was offered a contract by WWE as well around this time, including a WrestleMania 27 dream match between him and The Undertaker, which for some reason Sting decided to decline and to opt instead to sign a new deal with TNA. And well, we all know where that led in 2011. Victory Road, which, yeah, that match sucked. And I bet Sting fully regretted signing with TNA again after that. Am I right?
Yes.
But yeah, anyway, that Victory Road 2011, that's another story, another review for another day in the future. God, that's going to be crap when we review it. Right?
Yes.
But then before we get to the semi-main of this card, Team 3D, better known as the Dudley Boys, of course had to go by Team 3D at this point, came out and made an appearance to deliver a big announcement at this event. And, they were citing their past accomplishments, including being 23-time tag team champions in all promotions that they were in, including TNA, right?
Yes.
And they said they praised TNA and their pride in tag team wrestling. That one was obviously based on the first match of the night. But ultimately, Team 3D announced that they would be retiring following this event, but they said their one final request was a tag team match for the TNA Tag Team Championships against the Motor City Machine Guns. And that match would actually take place at the pay-per-view following Bound for Glory, right? The following month, which, spoilers, it was not the last match for Team 3D, but it was their last match as a tag team for a while. And we all know what came after that. We're not getting into it here in case we actually review that match in that segment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure we will at some point. So yeah, that being said, we get to our semi-main of the night, which was the Lethal Lockdown match, which is basically a version of the War Games that we get today. TNA's version. And it was Tommy Dreamer, Raven, Rhino, Sabu, and Stevie Richards, known as Team EV 2.0, accompanied by Mick Foley taking on the team called Fortune, which was AJ Styles, Kazarian, Matt Morgan, and Beer Money Inc., which is Robert Roode and James Storm, with Ric Flair in their corner. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, the match started with two competitors in the ring, in the cage, and every 2 minutes or something, member of one of the teams comes in, kind of like what we have for War Games today. And the match could not end until all participants were in the match, and at that point a roof would be lowered down to the cage with all the weapons on it. Right?
Yes.
And of course, Kazarian and Richards started the matchup, and then Kazarian got the and as things progressed, Kazarian got the upper hand early in the match. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but then Styles came in because, Styles came in because Fortune got the advantage here. It's like I'm talking about a War Games match. It's basically what I'm doing, right? And the heel team kind of was doing the whole man advantage, freaking takedown, beat downs every time, right? But eventually, and then eventually later on, when the ring got fuller, Storm entered the lethal lockdown match. And then afterwards, the all-out brawl freaking ensued, and then Raven made his way in. And I think Raven was the last one for EV 2.0 here. By this point, everyone was in the ring, I think. Right? Matt Morgan got in. Okay, Matt Morgan was freaking Fortune's final entrance here.
Well, it was Matt Morgan and Rhino that were the last two for... Matt Morgan was the last for Fortune, and Rhino was the last for EV2.
Yep. So when Morgan came in, he actually powerbombed Sabu through the cage. Or into the cage. And then Sabu started bleeding. And I think at this point, Tommy Dreamer, who's been in the match, was busted open as well, right?
Yes.
And of course, Rhino made his way in, and then the lethal lockdown structure, the roof lowered with all the weapons there, right? So yeah, this was an all-out war here, and the only way to win was by pinfall or submission at this point, right? So everyone just started grabbing weapons and went all over. It was like a freaking bloody-ass hardcore war here, right?
Yes.
Of course, at one point near the end, Morgan kicked the cage door open and unintentionally in a Discord, he kicked the door open unintentionally, leaving freaking Kazarian and Richards up on the top of the cage. Brian Kendrick came out of nowhere, and freaking jumped off a ladder onto Richards, right before Kazarian could jump off a ladder onto Richards, knocked him off. And put him through the table with a backdrop. Kendrick did to Kazarian here. Right?
Yes.
And then back in the ring, near the end, freaking Dreamer scored the top rope Dreamer driver onto freaking Styles through a table, I believe. Or onto a top of a chair onto Styles to claim the victory. Okay. I know I didn't freaking go into detail with this one, but this one was freaking straight up wild. I couldn't even freaking begin to fathom talking about all the spots here. Your thoughts on this one, at least? I mean, this match, you just got to go back and see for yourself.
It was hard hitting.
It was a bloody-ass war, that's for dang sure. Right?
Yep.
And I'm just like, damn. This was like freaking War Games, but cranked up to the max at this point. Right? Minus the second ring, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So yeah, I thought it was a great hardcore freaking multi-man hardcore brawl for what it was. So yeah, I thought it was a great match. Anyway, we're not done yet. Yeah, we gotta talk about the main event now, which was for the vacant TNA Championship, because like I said earlier, Rob Van Dam was a champion, but he had to vacate it due to storyline injury from Abyss. Right? Yeah. So thus, and then I believe it was, Angle and Anderson that fought to a no contest. Jeff Hardy won his match, advancing to this match, I believe. That's why it was made a triple threat. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Jeff Hardy made his entrance first. And I'm a fan of his freaking entrance theme, Another Me, that he and his band wrote and performed. I honestly think it's better than his loaded original WWE theme, honestly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you had Mr. Anderson coming out, and apparently all of his fans are assholes, so I guess, does that mean we're Anderson fans?
Yes.
And of course, Angle came out, and there was a stipulation that if Angle didn't win the TNA Championship and that his career was over too. I'm like, what is up with this, with the career-ending stipulations in this show, right? And yeah, Kurt Angle's TNA theme was also a banger. Not gonna lie, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Ugh. So yeah, at the start of this matchup, it was freaking Angle and Hardy who beat down Anderson to start the match off, but then Anderson fought back against the two of them, and of course, there was a short. Of course, the Angle and freaking Hardy teaming up, that was a short-lived as Angle and Hardy started beating the heck out of each other. As freaking Angle attempted to pin Anderson, but Anderson got right back up with a belly-to-belly suplex, right?
Yes.
And of course, later on, freaking Anderson struck Hardy, and soon this all led to Angle executing German suplex on the Hardy and also one on the Anderson simultaneously at the same time. That actually looked impressive. Kind of reminded me of that same spot he did with Orton and Mysterio at Mania 22. When he did the same thing in that triple threat, as we remember. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, they went on to the outside, and then Hardy freaking ended up diving out of the ring onto Angle and Anderson with a suicide dive. Jeff Hardy known for his risk taking. Right? And of course, back in the ring, they were trying to figure. All of them were trying to capitalize for the win, but none of them got the advantage on that one. Yeah, and then Angle hit the Angle Slam on Anderson as Anderson tried to hit a mic check on the Angle, which Angle reversed it into the Angle Slam. Right?
Yes.
And then Angle went for a clothesline on Anderson, and he inadvertently clotheslined the referee. Right?
Well, this is also if Angle lost, it was supposed to be his last match in TNA, but that never happened either.
And of course, I think this was before the ref went down. Angle had an ankle lock on, I believe it was Jeff.
He did a double ankle lock on Jeff and
Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I think
Anderson.
I think Angle had the ankle lock on Anderson first, and then Jeff Hardy tried to break it up, only to get stuck in one as well. And, well, Angle then had the double ankle lock locked in. Right?
Yes.
Which I'm like, okay, if they both I was thinking to myself, okay, if they both tap at the same time, does that mean Angle won anyway? I guess so,
yes.
But that wasn't the case. But yeah, the referee went down, and then Angle and then Anderson exchanged offenses, and then which resulted in Angle freaking delivering a German suplex, and Anderson got back with it and got a mic check, which left both of them down and out. Right?
Yeah.
And it was at this time your boy Eric Bischoff came to the ring with a chair. And then he attempted to interfere in the match, but was stopped because
all you hear next is Hulk Hogan's music.
Hulk Hogan's TNA theme started playing, and Hulk Hogan came back, who at this point Hogan was off having back surgery, and he came out on crutches very slowly to the ring. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Bischoff then grabbed the crutch, and those two looked like freaking Hogan and Bischoff were having an argument or disagreement. Yeah. And then Jeff Hardy got back up. Jeff Hardy got back up into the ring. He tried to look like he was trying to calm the situation down. Hardy then grabbed freaking Hogan's crutch, or no. Yeah, I think Hardy grabbed Bischoff's crutch first. Or, yeah, he grabbed Hogan's other crutch, yeah.
No, he grabbed Hogan's crutch. First of all, this is how everyone went down. Jeff Hardy was outside the ring.
Yeah.
Then Eric Bischoff comes out with the steel chair, was going to hit Angle and
Hogan came out.
Mr. Anderson, but Hogan's music hits. He comes out with crutches. Then Eric Bischoff throws the chair outside the ring and freaking cleans his hands off like he didn't have nothing.
Like, I didn't do it. I am innocent.
He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, is what Taz said.
Yep, and
then
Hogan and Bischoff
comes in after Eric Bischoff takes one of Hogan's crutches and Hogan was going to hit it. He gets into the middle of it. Hogan gives Hardy the crutch.
Looking like Jeff Hardy was going to hit Bischoff with it, and then all of a sudden Hardy turned around and attacked Angle with it.
Nails Angle in the back with it.
Yeah, so Jeff Hardy nailed Angle in the back with it, thus showing his true colors. And then Eric was
like, awesome! Here you go, do it again!
And then Jeff Hardy got the crutch off of Bischoff and nailed Anderson with it, before following it up with a twist of fate on Anderson with the cover. And while that was happening, friggin' Eric Bischoff got the referee back in the ring and was kicking out the referee to make that 3 count, which he did. Yes. And in doing so, Jeff Hardy was named the new TNA champion. And afterwards, it was revealed that Abyss, Hogan, Bischoff, Jarrett, and Jeff Hardy were them that Abyss was referring to, thus turning Jeff Hardy heel in the process.
Yeah.
And of course, after the match, friggin' even Van Dam came out, looked at Jeff Hardy, was like, "What the heck you doing? What are you doing hooking over these two? You're better than this." How'd Jeff Hardy respond to that? By nailing Van Dam on the head with a title belt.
Yes.
While all the fans were throwing garbage into the ring. Of course, this stable would be known as Immortal, right?
Yes.
And of course, that's how TNA ended, with Jeff Hardy being the most hated person in the building. And being a sellout. So, your thoughts on this triple threat main event?
It was good. Honestly, it was very good because it was turned out to show that Hogan and Bischoff actually had ulterior motives when they signed to be with TNA to run it at that time.
You know, I know a lot of people, and Jeff Hardy turning heel and selling out. I know a lot of people think that this was Jeff Hardy's first heel turn, which in TNA it was, but honestly, this wasn't the first time Jeff Hardy was a heel in his career. He was a heel for about 3 weeks in WWE in early 2003, but no one remembers that. And that was a failed experiment to start with, right?
Yeah.
If you even remember that short time period when Jeff was a heel in WWE, right? Yeah. This heel turn was Jeff Hardy's most well-known heel turn for obvious reasons, though, which was obviously the more successful heel run that Jeff Hardy had in his career. That started at this point here at Bound for Glory 2010.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then obviously it was during this run as TNA champion that got introduced to Jeff Hardy's custom TNA championship belt with his freaking face painted on it. You remember that championship design? Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, it was going good up until friggin' Victory Road 2011, which we all know how that ended, right? But anyway.
Yes.
But anyway, we go on to what I always call our favorite segment of the reviews, which is our rating/grading system. So here we go. The Motor City Machine Guns defeating Generation Me, or the Young Bucks, whatever you want to call them, to retain the TNA Tag Team Championships. I gave that one solid 5 out of 5.
Yeah, 5 out of 5.
Yep. Tara defeating Angelina Love Madison Rain, and Velvet Sky with Mickie James as a referee to win the TNA Women's Knockout Championship. I gave that one 3.5 out of 5.
I gave that 5 out of 5.
You enjoyed it more than I did. You only gave it 5 out of 5 for the beautiful people's entrance. Let's face it. I know you, motherfucker. That's probably why you gave it 5 out of 5. Had nothing to do with the match. All right.
You don't know.
Inc. defeating Orlando Jordan and Eric Young in that comedy tag team match. I also gave that one 3.5 out of 5.
I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. That was just fucking hilarious.
I was expecting you to say 5 out of 5 for comedy. Is that bad? Right? Yeah.
Okay, 5 out of 5.
Jeez. Jay Lethal defeating Doug Williams to retain the X Division Championship. I gave that one 3 3/4 out of 5.
4.5.
You enjoyed it more than I did. Rob Van Dam defeating Abyss in that Monsters Ball match. I gave that one solid 5 out of 5.
I can't give any fucking Abyss match anything under 5 out of 5 because he actually worked and busted his ass in all his matches. So it's a 5 out of 5. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of people may be angry about it. They don't like the Monster Abyss. Some people may give it a lower score. It's a 5 out of 5 for me.
Shit, Abyss man. It's like, man, freaking Joseph. It's like Joseph Parks based the Abyss character off of Mankind and Kane's combined, so there you go.
Yes, and Cactus Jack.
And Cactus Jack as well. So yeah, he pretty much put his body on the line and doing shit that most normal big men would not do.
Yes.
So yeah, obviously that Monsters Ball got a 5 out of 5 from me as well. D'Angelo Dinero, Sting, and Kevin Nash essentially defeating Samoa Joe in that on that 1 and 3 handicap match because Jeff Jarrett just straight up walked out before even doing anything. I pretty much just gave that one 3 out of 5, and that's being nice.
3.5.
Yep. EV 2.0 defeating Fortune in that Lethal Lockdown match. Easy 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5. Easy. And of course, the main event that featured Jeff Hardy selling his soul to Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan. And
5 out of 5.
And defeating Anderson and Angle to win the TNA Championship. Yeah, 5 out of 5 from me as well. And my final grade for TNA Bound for Glory 2010 is an A.
A+.
Yep. Yeah, I decided to quit doing the plus and minuses. So I just give it A's. That's a high score you can give it. But if there's any match...
You may have. I have not.
And when it comes to certain matches I would recommend, there's really too many great matches I could recommend you go back and watch. I can't just narrow it down to one.
The Monsters Ball.
The Monsters Ball would be one I would recommend. The Tag Team Opener would be another one I would recommend too. The Lethal Lockdown match, and obviously the Triple Threat main event. All right.
Yes.
And also, if you're looking for a match to give you some laughs and comedies, there's the Eric Young and Orlando Jordan taking on Inc. You can't go wrong with that one for comedy spots either. Right?
Yes.
So yeah, that's our thoughts and our opinion on TNA's Bound for Glory 2010 pay-per-view. So this was my pick this week, so God, I almost regret asking. What is next week's classic pay-per-view review to do before we watch Evolution 2 the following weekend after that? Stay back, devil! Go away, devil! I don't like your laugh, devil! Keep in mind, I did not give you a shit event this week.
We are going to do another TNA pay-per-view. It is in 2010.
Okay.
You care to give a guess?
There's a lot of, well, it can't be Bound for Glory again because we just did this. So,
Oh no, it's not Bound for Glory.
Well, obviously that'd be stupid. We just did Bound for Glory. Like there's a couple that come up that I can think of, but the one that sticks in my mind the most is Slammiversary.
It's not Slammiversary, even though that will be probably one of my picks down the line.
It's what? Sacrifice? Lockdown?
No.
Okay, I'm done guessing. I don't want the last 5 minutes of this video being me guessing shows.
We are going to do TNA 2010 Lockdown.
I said Lockdown. I guess that
No.
you're like, no.
No, you said Sacrifice and Slammiversary.
And then I snuck in Lockdown there. You must not have heard that.
I didn't hear Lockdown.
Lockdown 2010. I don't remember what the main event for Lockdown 2010 was, but I do remember one of the marquee matches from Lockdown 2010 was Kurt Angle versus Mr. Anderson. I believe.
Give me a second. I'll look it up on the TNA thing real quick.
Now, hold on. Hold up a second.
Just give me a sec. I'm just logging into it. Because it'll tell us. Just give me a second.
It's pretty bad when we don't even know what matches took place in these old events.
Well, it's been years since I fucking seen it. I gotta click on it.
So Lockdown 2010, we had, we obviously had the aforementioned Angle and Anderson match.
AJ versus D'Angelo De Niro.
For the TNA title, yes. We had Team Hogan versus...
Anderson and Kurt Angle.
Yeah, we had the main event, we had Team Hogan versus Team Flair in that Lethal Lockdown match.
Yes, Team Hogan versus Team Flair. AJ Styles versus D'Angelo De Niro. And
we had Team 3D.
An iconic match for Kurt Angle versus Mr. Anderson.
Yep. We had we also had Team 3D of Brother D1 and Brother Ray against Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in a Falls Count Anywhere street fight.
Yes.
And speaking of Kevin Nash, he did double duty because he also fought Eric Young on this show as well. That should actually be a... I don't remember ever seeing Lockdown 2010 except for that one match, and maybe it's because I seen it a long ass time ago and I only remember the Angle Anderson match.
Well, it's been a long time since I've seen Lockdown 2010.
Okay, so that being said, next week we'll be watching and reviewing TNA's Lockdown 2010 pay-per-view. So until then, I hope you enjoyed our review of TNA Bound for Glory 2010, and we will talk to y'all later. Peace.
Deuces.